Have you ever found yourself staring at a birthday cake, candles lit, everyone singing, and you smile, but in the back of your mind you wonder, how many more of these will I get? It's a quiet question, one you probably don't ask out loud. But if you're anywhere between 40 and 60, you've likely felt it. That subtle nudge, the awareness that the body you've always counted on is starting to whisper back. And sometimes it's not even about you. It's watching your parents slow down, or hearing that a friend's father, who was totally fine 6 months ago, suddenly wasn't. It's those "how did that happen so fast" moments that make you realize how fragile things can feel after a certain age. Here's something most people don't realize until it's too late. 80% of deaths after 75 come from just 5 causes. And the scariest part? Every single one of them is influenced, sometimes dramatically, by the habits we build right now. Not when we're 70, not when we get a warning call, but now, when we're still choosing between 10-minute walks and skipped breakfasts, between processed snacks and simple home-cooked meals, between brushing off stress or learning how to listen to it. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to wake something up in you. Because living a long life doesn't happen by accident. It's a result, a reward, a slow, steady build of choices that add up. And when we know the risks, really know them, not in a scary statistic kind of way, but in a "this is how it starts, and this is how to stop it" kind of way, we change our odds. So today, we're unpacking the 5 most common reasons people don't make it past their 70s. And more importantly, the small shifts that can help you and the people you love break through that ceiling. Because you deserve more than survival. You deserve energy, confidence, and mornings that feel strong, not uncertain. And if you've been quietly wondering how to stay ahead of what takes most people down, you're exactly where you need to be. We're going to make this simple, practical, encouraging, like sitting with a good friend over coffee who says, "Here's what actually matters." Let's focus there. Before we dive in, a quick moment. If conversations like this resonate with you, if you value clarity over hype and real health guidance over trends, I hope you'll hit subscribe and tap the notification bell. We put out thoughtful, life-changing content every single week, and your support means the world to me and to our whole community of strong, sharp, smart grown-ups who are aging on their own terms. Every like, every share, every comment, it spreads the message. And trust me, someone else in your life needs to hear this too. All right, let's get into it. You know what often surprises people? How many long lives are quietly cut short by inflammation. Not the dramatic kind that comes from a twisted ankle or a swollen cut. The slow, quiet burn inside your arteries, your joints, your brain. The kind that simmers undetected, sometimes for decades. And by the time it shows up as something serious, like heart disease, stroke, or cognitive decline, it's not new. It's old damage finally catching up. This kind of inflammation feeds on 3 things: bad sleep, chronic stress, and sugar. And not just eat a cookie sugar, but the sneaky stuff, like white bread, soda, and the habit of skipping breakfast. And overeating late at night. You don't have to overhaul your whole life to lower your inflammation. But you do have to pay attention to the patterns, because your body is always talking to you. We just forget how to listen. Try this. For the next week, keep an energy journal. Every morning, ask yourself, did I sleep well? Am I feeling foggy or sharp? Then after lunch, am I crashing or cruising? These are your first clues. When inflammation is low, energy is steady. When it's high, you're dragging. And hey, sometimes you don't even know why. And here's one more thing. Your inflammation story? It isn't written in stone. It's written in routines. The anti-inflammatory medicine you've been waiting for might just be a 20-minute walk, a glass of water first thing in the morning, or cutting your sugar by 20%. This month, not 100%, just 20. Because longevity doesn't begin with a grand gesture. It begins with one quiet decision at a time. Now let's take a closer look at another reason longevity gets cut short. And this one might hit closer to home than you expect. Have you ever watched someone trip, not fall, just stumble, and it changed everything? Maybe it was a parent who suddenly seemed more fragile than you remembered. Or maybe it was you, reaching for your phone, catching your balance and feeling your heart skip because that was close. That's the thing about falls, they don't always announce themselves with drama, but the consequences can echo for years. After 75, falls aren't just falls. They're hospital visits, hip surgeries, long recoveries that steal independence and sometimes never give it back. And what most people don't realize is that loss of balance is not inevitable with age. It's a skill. A trainable, protectable skill. That's the good news. But here's the kicker. Balance doesn't just come from your legs. It's a full body system. Vision, proprioception, your inner ear, even hydration and blood sugar control. When one part slips, the others scramble to compensate. And over time, the system gets shaky, quietly, gradually, until one day you reach for a high shelf or get out of bed a little too fast, and down you go. So what can you do? Start small. Barefoot balance time at home. Stand near the counter and lift one foot for 10 seconds. Switch, do it again. Every day. If you feel confident, close your eyes. That's your inner ear and nervous system learning to adjust. If 10 seconds feels long, that's okay. That's the point. You're teaching your body to protect itself in advance. And strength? It's never too late. You don't need a gym or a trainer. Just consistent, gentle motion that wakes up your stabilizing muscles. Ankles, glutes, core. Even brushing your teeth while standing on one foot helps retrain your brain-body connection. And here's a tip you probably weren't expecting. Test your reflexes in everyday life. Drop a pen and try to catch it. Practice turning quickly while walking. Play with a grandchild or your dog in the yard. Every unexpected motion you practice today becomes one less emergency tomorrow. It's not just about avoiding the fall. It's about building a body that can handle the unexpected. The bump, the twist, the icy patch on the driveway. And if your loved ones are older, talk to them about lighting, rugs, stairs, the little things. Because most major falls start with a small oversight. Awareness isn't overreacting, it's empowering. Now let's breathe into this for a second. You're not behind, you're not broken. You're just waking up to what your body needs. Before it starts whispering louder, every little action you take, every balance drill, every mindful movement, it stacks the odds in your favor. Because the goal isn't just not falling. The goal is thriving with confidence, moving with ease. Feeling strong enough to take the walk, go on the trip, climb the steps with a grandchild in tow and not wonder if your body can handle it. Let's stay in that mindset as we talk about the next cause that quietly takes more lives than it should, especially in people who felt perfectly fine until they weren't. You know those stories where someone says they were healthy as ever and then suddenly they weren't. Most of us have heard one. And more than likely that sudden wasn't really sudden at all. It was just silent. And one of the most common culprits behind those stories is cardiovascular disease. Here's the tough part. Heart trouble doesn't always look like a movie heart attack. It often shows up as fatigue, or indigestion, or shoulder stiffness that doesn't quite make sense. And if you're over 40 and under pressure, raising kids, managing aging parents, juggling bills, it's easy to shrug and keep moving. But underneath that "I'm just tired" story, your arteries could be telling a different one. Because plaque doesn't build overnight, and it doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It builds quietly, patiently, stealing inches of blood flow until one day, your heart doesn't get the oxygen it needs. So what can you do while you still feel good? Start with the two rhythms that shape your body every day: what you eat and how you move. You don't need to become a salad-munching marathoner, but you do need consistency. A 20-minute walk after dinner, fiber at breakfast, a handful of berries instead of a pastry mid-afternoon. These aren't trends. They're life insurance. Now let's touch on something even more powerful: blood pressure. High blood pressure is like rust on your pipes. You don't feel it right away, but it wears down everything over time. Your heart, your kidneys, your brain. It's a slow burn until it's a crisis. That's why home monitors matter, just once a week. Quiet moment, cuff on, write it down. No judgment, just data. Your numbers will tell you if something's creeping up before your body ever says a word. And while we're at it, stress. It's not just a buzzword. Chronic stress triggers inflammation, hormonal imbalances, poor sleep, and habits that chip away at heart health without us realizing. So whether it's a 5-minute breathing app, a daily journal, or 15 guilt-free minutes of silence on your porch, make room to reset. That's not a luxury, it's prevention. Now here's where this ties back into everything else. Health is a domino. Protect your heart, and you protect your brain, your energy, your mood, and your immune system. It's the central power station for everything else that matters after 60. So check in with yourself, not just with a stethoscope or a chart, but with honesty. Are you moving enough? Is your food fueling or fogging you? Do you sleep peacefully or wake in tension? The answers don't need to be perfect, but they do need to be real. Because real leads to change. And here's a truth not enough people hear. Your best decades don't disappear. They're waiting on the other side of the choices you make today. So let's keep going. You're doing something powerful just by staying curious, by staying engaged with your own life. Let's take that energy into another cause that claims too many lives after 75, not from lack of care, but from lack of notice. Because the next threat isn't about your heart or your lungs, it's about your bones. Specifically, the slow, quiet loss of strength and structure we call osteoporosis. Now I know, bones aren't flashy. They don't trend on health blogs, like superfoods or new sleep hacks. But after 75, bone health can mean the difference between independence and a hospital bed, between walking into your grandchild's graduation or watching it over FaceTime because you're recovering from falling. Let me ask, have you ever caught yourself stumbling a bit when you stood up too fast? Or maybe you noticed a subtle fear when reaching for something high or low, not because you thought you couldn't reach it, but because you were afraid of losing your balance. You're not alone, and you're not weak. You're just hearing your body whispering, hey, let's pay attention. Here's the thing about bone-related health risks. They don't knock on the door. They slip in through the cracks, literally. A tiny fracture here, a compression issue there. And when one small incident isn't addressed, the risk of a second, bigger one triples. What's wild is how preventable this can be. It starts with two very unsexy but incredibly powerful things: vitamin D and resistance. Vitamin D is like the ignition key for your bones. It helps calcium lock into place. But as we age, especially if we're indoors more often or live in cloudy climates, our ability to synthesize D from sunlight plummets. That's why simple blood work and a smart supplement plan can make a world of difference. Then there's resistance. And no, I don't mean lifting giant barbells. I'm talking about standing up from a chair without using your hands, doing gentle squats while brushing your teeth, using resistance bands while watching TV. It's not about bulk. It's about reminding your bones, hey, we're still working, we're still needed. Because bones are like muscles. Use them or lose them. But this goes beyond just fractures. There's something more subtle, more emotional at stake here. And it's your confidence. The moment you start fearing a fall, your brain rewires itself. It starts sending signals of hesitation, telling you to avoid stairs, to hold back from gardening, to stop dancing. And that hesitation leads to less movement, which leads to even weaker bones. And the cycle goes on. So break the cycle, not with drastic changes, but with consistent nudges. Check your vitamin levels. Add movement you enjoy. Talk to your doctor about a bone density scan. And most importantly, don't wait until your body screams. Listen while it's still whispering. This is the quiet work of longevity. The stuff that doesn't get applause but builds the stage for everything else you love. We've covered some big ones already. But there's still another major reason people lose their health past 75. And it's often masked as just a bad mood or getting older. But in reality, it can steal more years than almost any disease. It's loneliness. Now, you might not expect that word to land alongside things like heart disease, strokes, or falls, but the truth is, loneliness can be just as dangerous. And after 75, it becomes more common and more invisible. Think about it. The kids are grown. Your calendar isn't as full. Friends move or pass on. You wake up and realize the phone hasn't rung in days, not because anyone's mad, but because life just got quieter. And slowly, that quiet starts to echo through your body. What many people don't realize is that loneliness doesn't just live in your mind. It affects your immune system, your blood pressure, even your inflammation levels. Researchers have compared chronic loneliness to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's how powerfully it wears you down. But here's the part that matters most. It's fixable. You don't need to become the most social person on the block. You don't need to host dinner parties or join 12 clubs. You just need connection. Real, meaningful, heart-level connection. That might look like calling one trusted friend every Friday, or taking a weekly walk with a neighbor, or joining a group, not for the sake of being social, but because it gives your week shape and purpose. Even small rituals help. Smiling at the cashier, chatting with someone at the park, attending a class where you're learning something with others, not just alone at home. Each of those moments acts like a spark, and enough sparks can reignite your emotional energy, your clarity, and yes, your lifespan. Because the truth is, most of the things that end lives after 75 don't start with a crash. They start with erosion. Tiny bits of health or hope or habit slipping away unnoticed until the foundation gives. But not for you. You're here. You're paying attention. You're deciding to act before life forces your hand. So let's recap. Not with a checklist, but with a vision. A vision where your heart is strong, not from fear, but from being cared for. Where your lungs feel clear because you chose breath over burnout. Where your bones hold you up because you've stayed steady, even through storms. Where your energy flows not just from sleep and vitamins, but from people who see you, know you, laugh with you, and above all, a vision where you stay in the driver's seat, not just hoping to reach 80, but shaping what those years look like. So here's your invitation. Don't wait. Pick one thing, just one, and begin today. A walk, a phone call, a supplement, a moment of stillness. It all counts. It all compounds. Because the years ahead aren't just something to survive. They're something you still get to build. And you're not done building yet.